Welcome to Behind the Backline, the podcast where we chat with merchants, brands, and industry professionals in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space about their products, services, industry trends, stories, and more. Join us now as we dig into the stories behind our favorite backline gear.
Welcome to episode 29 of Behind the Backline. I'm Matt Jacoby of Octave Media, and today I am speaking with quite possibly the mother of all backlines, which is perfect for a podcast called Behind the Backline. I'm excited to share that I have the pleasure today of chatting with Joe Muller, which I think I got that right, and Jim Whitfield of CenterStaging. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
Our pleasure. You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time today. I know you guys are busy, and just looking at your clientele list, I'm humbled to have a few minutes of your time. So, we kind of get started usually with having you guys introduce yourself a little bit and talk about a little bit what CenterStaging does.
So, I'm Joe Muller. I am the general manager, business manager for CenterStaging New York. We branched out from the West Coast about a year and a half ago, and we provide production solutions as well as renting backline, wireless audio, as well as carting personal gear, providing outside skilled labor technicians, whether it be for backline or audio, and all around solving problems for anyone in the industry. It doesn't really matter what it is. A lot of days we do a lot of things that are outside of backline.
Okay. Is backline your primary service, or like what is your staple, and then the other one's just kind of backfilled into that?
Our staple is our backline for sure. The majority of it looks like it came off the showroom floor, and that's what we're known for.
So it's just pristine, kept up really well. It has to glimmer in every television and camera, and then the lights and everything.
It has to, or it's not going out the door. And that's why our guys are the best. And that's why we only employ the best, because the standard is extremely high.
Awesome. So, you guys said you've only been kind of at it for a short time on the East Coast. And I know you kind of told me that you may not have all the details as to where the West Coast started from, but can you give a little bit of a backstory as to how the West Coast kind of came to be?
Well, this Jim Whitfield. I'm the primarily part of the show department, which we go out and do the actual shows and prepping, and also in Nashville. I'm the Nashville contingent. CenterStaging has been around from the West Coast for a long time, owned by a couple different guys that was pretty heavily involved with all the TV out in the West Coast for a while. They got the Grammys. They do a lot of the award shows, the Billboards, and a lot of things you see on TV, Oscars. I mean, they're heavily involved in that. And what happened about 10 years ago or so, the two owners sold it to a company and to a couple of people that are based out of Nashville, and that's how I came on board. So we had done in Nashville, I was with a company called Soundcheck, which is more rehearsals and backline and whatnot in Nashville, and we knew each other by that connection. So CenterStaging just grew out of the West Coast TV. They do all the Ellen and Kimmel. They're heavily involved in TV work because, like Joe said, we do a little above and beyond just, anybody can rent a Fender Twin or a Vox AC30, but, we got to go a little deeper than that. So I come from more of the show touring side of it. So you have to bring all the experience. But that's the basic, the history of CenterStaging in the West Coast. That's how it started. And then they used to have an office here in the East Coast a while back, and they closed that up when the people from Nashville bought into CenterStaging in LA.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell.
Got it. No, that's perfect. So, while you may not have what's the primary inspiration for how CenterStaging kind of got started, I was kind of reading a little bit about the history of being inspired or potentially even working with like things like Soul Train and American Bandstand. Yeah.
The original owners they started with Midnight Special. Back. Mm-hmm. Original guys started way back, not with CenterStaging, but they started doing, midnight specials and in concert and Soul Train and all those. And it just grew into the Backline company. So they came out of that world and then started the CenterStaging Backline to fulfill that need. So yeah, it does go that far back.
Way before my time. I won't even tell you my age, right? So, for you guys, you've probably been with it a little bit shorter than the length of the company. What inspired you guys to join, or what kind of is your background in this industry?
Well, I went to college for music performance and then got another degree afterwards in music business in 2000. And I graduated, started working for a company just to get internship credits to graduate. And I ended up staying with that company for about 17 years, I want to say. Okay. And very similar Backline rental house in New York. I managed their studios. My partner at the time and I started their television department. And a couple of years back, I was introduced to Mitch. We got to talking. He was interested in opening up on the West Coast. And a couple of dinners turned into a handshake, which turned into me deciding to finally that I found another ship that was worthy to jump out of the one I was into. And I haven't looked back ever since, because the thing about this company is the people that you work for. Mm-hmm. I've only had one other boss in my entire life like the one I have now, in the form of Mitch Clark, who owns the company. And that would be a guy named Danny Fernandez, who owned a pizza shop I worked in when I was 17 years old. Of course. You don't get the family first type of vibe in any other company like you do in this one. So that's really what sold me, was not only taking a step up in my career, but more importantly, working for somebody that I had the respect for and had the same respect in return. And more importantly, all the priorities are in the right place.
And that's a great segue, using the family backgrounds between the two being similar, because obviously pizza and Backlines have nothing to do with each other.
Well, not really, because pizza is usually the food of choice after show.
True.
If you do a show, pizza is usually, that's one of the number one food staples in our industry. So actually, pizza and Backline go together pretty well.
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, I guess, okay, I totally missed the mark on that one. So.
It's very important after a hard day's work.
Well, this is a proper segue then into because in the Midwest, it's unheard of to have a cafe or any kind of catering in the studio or any kind of rehearsal space. So how did you guys get into the whole cafe portion of what you guys do?
As far as cafe, the cafe that you looked on the website in Los Angeles, probably in Burbank.
Oh, is it just located in LA?
Correct. That was just a need because they have so many rehearsal halls going, and very large. You looked at the website, you can see what kind of people rehearse there, and that way you don't have to leave the campus. You don't have to leave your rehearsal. You can go right outside, grab a meal, or buy it for the crew or whatever, and you're right there. It was more the necessity of having something on the camp, at the rehearsal places, so you can grab a bite.
Really for the client's privacy more than anything.
Yeah, and privacy.
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was kind of like, well, it could be people that are there, or it could be for like if it was a hard rock cafe style type of thing. But that makes sense because we don't have any Carrie Underwoods in Madison for the most part, so we wouldn't really have a need for that.
I've been in Madison with Carrie Underwood.
It's funny you said Carrie Underwood. Yeah. Jim spent a few years with her.
Oh yeah, I've toured with her.
Cool.
For 9 years.
That's pretty awesome. Especially, I guess, the touring, yeah. But you can try the local cuisine, of course, and
yeah, we like a brat and a beer.
Yeah. Good. I hear those could be kind of a rare combination outside of our area. So I don't know. I don't get out on the outsides of the area very often. But so did you guys ever, from your point of view, did you ever think that Center Stage would get this big? I mean, kind of be that premier resource for these types of shows from everything. I mean, you guys have the Olympics, numerous presidential inaugurations, of course, all the award shows, nightly TV shows. It's just, that's a great list. Do you ever dream that you'd get this big?
Yeah, I'd love to say that. I would love to say that it's wow, we're here, but you live in it long enough and it kind of becomes normal. So we're always looking to go to the next step.
Yeah, this is Jim. From my angle, I used to work for artists that would use CenterStaging for these shows. So basically, I came from that side. So I already knew that what they did. You know, I'd been with artists that did the Grammys and various award shows and TVs and whatnot. So I already knew them as for what they did. So I knew what I was getting into. So they had already kind of established that, and we just hope we can continue growing and continue what they do.
Gotcha. No, that definitely makes sense. So I kind of wanted to ask a little bit. What's is New York primarily just the Backline, or do you have studios in New York as well?
It's a great question. Currently, we have just the Backline rentals. Studios are in the works. A definitive date is TBD. In a perfect world, the plan was to open with studios, but it just didn't make sense logistically once we started everything. And unfortunately, the property we were planning on fell out from under us before we had a chance to make a move. And I file it all under Everything Happens for a Reason, because without a doubt, there will be CenterStaging studios in New York. It's just a matter of, is it in 2019 or is it in 2020?
And Mitch's vision of the studio is completely different. It's not the kind you walk in with carpet on the walls. And I mean, he puts floating floors. We do a lot of dancers because of the new hip hop and R&B. You have a lot of choreography coming in. So these aren't just, you can't just get a building, put some wedges and something in the room and call it. Not the kind of clients that we have. So it has to be done. It has to be done right. In fact, in West Coast, he just opened up a couple more studios, and where there are isolated production rooms where you can put the console outside. Like off in the office, so you can set up your console, and the modern engineer or front of house can do his own mix, separate from the room. So Mitch is going to bring rehearsal halls here in New York. It's going to be, it's going to be right.
Yeah, he could have built rehearsal rooms. We could build a rehearsal room tomorrow, but that's not his style. That's not the company's style. If it's going to be done like Jim said, he's going to do it right.
Yeah, if we're bringing Lady Gaga or somebody, Beyonce, little, anything like that, it's going to be done right.
Yeah, definitely a level of certain reputation level that needs to be reached there. That's probably not the right word I'm looking for, but yeah, you have set the standard. He's got a bar.
Yeah. The original idea, he was going to even have a place where they could pull your car in, separate, so they don't have to be on the street. I mean, that's how he thinks. So say, somebody comes in with a limo or a car, their personal car, they can actually pull in, close the door, go up to the rehearsal room, work, come back. That's how the level what he thinks about.
And that makes a lot of sense. I see no local artist here in town that would ever need something like that, because they're not that popular. But no, that makes a lot of sense.
There are certain facilities in New York that people just know that that's where the names go. So there's people standing outside there stalking the place always.
Do you guys have a paparazzi problem?
More in the TV shows, if they have a big artist, then they know where the stage door is and they'll wait. We've seen that happen.
Gotcha. It kind of sounds almost like I've heard companies like Google don't actually even will brand their buildings. They're just unmarked buildings to help with recognition or traffic. Is that something you guys do?
Here we don't brand out of New York for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Google does or does not?
Will not for like security or safety reasons, like terrorist attack or something like that, where they're targeted buildings. If they're data driven buildings, they usually stay pretty.
Yeah, their outpost is like that. But I've been on the Google campus in California. There's actually an amphitheater right outside. You can walk over there and walk around it. But I think they're outdoors. Went off the rails there, but
that's okay.
I've walked around the Google. I had time off when I was doing a show.
Nice.
It is the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't even have any signage
No.
outside.
Okay.
Specifically for the case, we're not a retail shop. And if somebody's coming to visit the shop, which is a common occurrence, maybe twice a week or so, a client will come through. It's more of a showroom vibe. And the last thing we would want is just somebody passing by, walking through like it was a gallery.
Yeah, I worked in Nashville, and we'd have that problem every now and then when somebody would find out where it is, even though it's pretty secluded, and just walk around. I had one person walk in on Peter Frampton rehearsal and give him a big hug, and everybody's, what was that about? We thought he knew him. It turned out he didn't even know him. So we had to kick him out and escort him out of the building. So you got to be careful with that,
Yeah, you guys got some interesting challenges and unique curveballs I'm sure you have to deal with that most of us don't.
I haven't thought about this in a long time, but the worst curveball I ever got thrown in that vein was a Bruce Springsteen tribute band used to rehearse at the studio that I managed. And they rehearsed there I want to say he was a lawyer and a couple of his buddies, and he was Bruce in the tribute band. Yeah. Well, he heard that Bruce Springsteen was coming in to rehearse, came in, walked in the door, and I literally had to get in the middle of Bruce Springsteen and fake Bruce Springsteen arguing with each other, saying, you got to get him out of here. Yeah. And it was the most awkward experience I've ever had in my career.
My favorite was one time Leonard Skinner was rehearsing. Leonard Skinner was rehearsing in the room, and somebody walked by, and they listened out the door. You could hear him. And the guy says, man, they're doing a great job. They're doing really sound good. Like, that band in there is like doing a great Leonard Skinner song. I didn't have the heart to tell him that was Leonard Skinner's. They're the one band in the world that when you yell out Freebird, they're going to do it.
And they better do it right. Well, actually, I was going to ask you guys, you've already touched on a few, but with everybody you worked with and the list on the site and everything, are there any other favorites or good stories that, are memorable or that you share regularly?
Got to meet Robert Fripp with King Crimson. Actually talked to him. You get to meet certain people. What's nice is when you meet the stars or the people and they're actually genuine, people.
Yeah.
And that's really the bonus, because it's always, they say, be careful who you meet, love the artist, not the art, or love the art, not the artist. So,
I don't know. Your Steven Tyler story's up there.
Steven Tyler's a good one. Yeah.
But I couldn't agree more. It's the best part about it is meeting the human beings that everyone is just enamored with in such a different way, and to find out really how human they are, makes a big difference. Just as an example, I spent a few years touring with Joan Jett, and she became one of my closest friends. She, the person I see in the videos and on the radio, that's the show, if that makes any sense.
I think so. But that's really cool to hear that, the more humble they are, the better they are. That's for sure.
Respect their art that much more afterwards too.
The ones that show up on time when they're supposed to and do what they're supposed to. I mean, people don't realize that, they have a job too.
True.
That's what art. That's why we get what we do, because you got to be ready. You don't have an artist walk in the room or walk on stage and you're not ready. That's the worst thing to do. So we spend a lot of time prepping and making sure things work, test things out before they get there. There's a lot to it than just here, turn this on and go. You have an artist that walks, they don't want to waste their time while you're fixing something, looking at your ass turned around as you're, fixing a pedal or a cable or something like that. So you got to be ready and spot on when they walk in.
Yeah.
It's a lot more to it than just here, plug this amp and go.
It's about just letting them walk in and do their thing, and it looks like it was completely effortless.
Yep. Be ready right when they walk in. Everything's ready. Because the worst thing to do is have an artist that comes in paying, paying for their time or paying for a rehearsal or paying, for a show, or when you're doing the big shows like the Grammys or whatever, you have an exact amount of time to, to say, be ready and rehearse and camera block and get ready for them. You can't waste any amount of that time. when you have 100 people on the stage doing their thing, from cameras to stage managers to the electricians to the lighting, everything, the work, they can't wait for you to fix something. It has to be right when it shows up.
If anybody ever sees one of us on television, somebody messed up.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, there's Joe. How about that?
Unfortunately, in the past, over the years, people have said to me, "Oh my God, did you see me on TV last night?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah. That's not a compliment, but yeah, I did.
Yeah, it happens, but not very often. So that's what CenterStaging really gets. We get that, backing up those kind of things.
I don't know why I got this vibe. And I had to ask, now, is it mainly just, you're just focused on the backline equipment? You don't actually do anything with like stage construction and production, do you?
We do a fair amount of logistics
Okay.
Production, but we don't do any staging. The name obviously trips some people up.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm like, I have to clear that up. I'm like, that's probably what happened to me too. So
that's a specialized thing. Staging is a whole different world with people setting it up and the trucks and the amount of space it takes. That's a whole different ball game right there. I mean, you have people have huge warehouses of staging, and that's another world.
My back hurts just
thinking about it.
Well, I have a quick story for you guys too. We're getting inspired by you guys quite a bit here as well. I've been involved for about the last, it started in 2003, probably about the last 14, 15 years with Madison Area Music Awards. We have our own music award show here for our artists, and the last 9 years I've actually been using like the Grammys red carpet as an inspiration to develop a red carpet here in town. We do live streaming via Facebook Live and all that kind of thing. So what you guys do and what your staging people do and your red carpet people do is helps trickle down a lot of creativity for those of us who are way lower down the pole. So
yeah, there's still production. I mean, we do those shows too. We don't by down, but I know what you're doing. Yeah, the red carpet's usually handling those kind of shows by a whole different kind of company because they get it. They have how you have to cover and bring in your pipe and drape or bring in this, and it is a production. It's still
in itself. Yeah, it is. It's a second show.
Like speakers out there, anything to announce, or you just have basically a greeting area, or is that what you do?
Oh, what do we do? Yeah, well, we've had kind of a combination. At first, it was just like interviews and stuff like that. Then we added live stream, and we started to live stream the show itself. So we kind of tried to work on what would be a quote unquote television production for Facebook live streaming.
Right.
And it could be a little bit tricky in terms of queuing and just going back and forth between two different rooms. You're in the lobby and in the room. So. And plus we kind of added a backstage for post-winter interviews as well. So you almost get a different appreciation when you're like attempting to do this and you're like, how in the hell do they do this? Obviously there's a lot more going on for a show the size of the Grammys, but you definitely, you learn.
But this is just going to be another example of how outside the box we operate as a company. If you ever need any help, please, you have my number. I'll make sure you have Jim's. Don't hesitate, even if it's a question or all the way to, hey, I could use a piece of gear.
That would be phenomenal. I appreciate it then. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Are you guys familiar with redcarpets.com?
Not personally.
Okay.
No, like I said, it's not on my radar. I got too much going on, but I know people do work in the red carpet, part of it. That's set up. That's a whole different team.
Gotcha.
I know people that do that differently with it.
Yeah, I think they're actually located in New York as well, and we work with them for our step and repeat backdrops every year. So I think we're kind of getting something close in quality to the backdrop every year. So it's awesome to be able to bring that kind of spotlight to the local stage too. So
sure, it's all about budget, isn't it?
It certainly is. Well, awesome. Well, before we wrap it up, do you guys want to plug your website and social media and anything that you want people to kind of check out more about what you guys do?
Yeah, the website is www.centerstaging.com, obviously. And I don't want to misquote.
I know they set up some Instagrams, and I'm a little older, so the whole social media thing is not quite.
On Facebook, it's Center Staging New York, and on Instagram, it is Center Staging NYC.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's okay. If the kids can always go to your site, and I'm sure they'll be able to dig up the social media on their own if you're not, not with it, of course.
Yeah, they look at the website. We do the big names and the award shows, but we do clubs too. We've done, what was it? Biohat. There's a little metal club not far from here. We'll bring the Marshall rigs, so we do from everything. I'll bring a piano for a showcase for Capitol Records. We'll do DJ. We did the Levi's, that big grand opening they had in Times Square.
Awesome.
DJ equipment, set that up for their big thing. We've done here the NBA award shows where Shaq was spinning. He's Shaq O'Neal he does DJ work, which who knew, and then so we do. It's all over the map. It's not just the big shows. We do. We'll take a band. If a band comes up here for showcases, has a few things. They do a TV, they do a theater, they do a club. That's what we do. So, they ship their guitars and their pedal boards up here, and then we haul it around from gig to gig, with the same equipment, or if it changes, then you can't put a B3 in or, Leslie in a club. So you do, a Nord, something like that. So we work with people too on that aspect too. We'll say, hey, why don't you use this? Or we have a upright shell that has MIDI capability instead of bringing, a real piano. There's things that we do to help the artist too, when you say the production part of it. So, we're not just that huge. We also do everything in between.
Anything to make it as that flawless as possible, right?
To make it happen, people, as far as Backline. And we have knowledgeable crew. The thing is, we have a drum department that really gets it. And we're doing like Tony Orlando tomorrow. Tony Orlando. We've done Tony Bennett. It's all over the map. And you have great drum department, the keyboard, great keyboard. We're talking Backline. We have guys, we fix stuff in house. We have vintage stuff. We have a great B3 selection. I'm really proud of it. Some great sounding rigs. So we do a little bit of everything, but you have to in this business. But you also have to talk the talk, So that's what CenterStaging kind of brings, So we kind of, we work with you what you're thinking about looking at. If you need a master volume Vox AC30, but not the original, top boost 6, channel. You got to know these things, so you don't show up with the wrong stuff,
Which ultimately leads to a pool of people that are not much in the middle, old school cats and kids coming up.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
We work on guitars. We do a little bit of everything. So yeah, we get to work with some good stuff, but yeah, we do a little bit of everything.
Whatever makes the show happen.
You got it.
That is awesome. Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys taking a few minutes today. Well, I won't say a few minutes, more like 30 minutes, but you taking time out of your day today. You guys have a busy schedule, of course, but this has been awesome, and I look forward to getting this episode out. So
great, man. It's really a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Love Madison. Go Badgers.
Awesome. That's right.
And we like a brought in a beer. So, hey.
That's right. Go come here often enough then, right?
Next time we're there, we're looking you up.
Got it.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Backline, brought to you by Octave Media, an inbound marketing agency focused on helping music merchants develop an automated solution to increase website sales. You can find Octave Media at www.octave.media. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast in iTunes or Google Play Music to learn more about great products and companies in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space, and be sure to leave a review to let us know what you thought of this episode. We encourage you to share us with your friends and colleagues via social media, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Hey guys, Matt here from Behind the Backline. I recently released a free on-demand training called 3 Steps to Drumming Up More Website Sales. During the 9-minute video, you'll learn the secrets to streamline your brand's image and dramatically increase your website sales. If you're a music brand or a retailer and you want to increase your website sales, go to octave.media/drumoffer today. That's octave.media/drumoffer. And thanks for listening to Behind the Backline.